Okay, so we're gonna start with names and pronouns. Introduce yourself.
This is a 2 to 3.
Want to say a fun fact? You can say a fun fact, but yeah.
Okay. I'm Kaylee. Hi. She, her.
I'm Sarah, and my pronouns are she, her.
I'm Kelly. I'm like waving at the camera. She, her. I'm pansexual.
I'm Shay. Pronouns are she, her, and I'm bisexual.
Jacob. Pronouns are he, him. I'm straight.
It's okay. Yeah.
You're good. It's valid.
I don't know.
We're not going to
the
treat you
term.
any differently than that.
Take it away.
Oh.
He, him. I'm straight. Oh, I said Marco.
Oh, my
Yeah.
Didn't hear that.
I don't watch a lot of TV, but I like nebulously watch a lot of TV through like other people, and so I've gotten a pretty good like variety, like a pretty good spread. I like to think like I was watching Queer Eye, and I was watching like especially like random, like a good assortment of stuff, and so I feel like there's like a couple like general stereotypes I see when it comes to the like lesbians and portrayal in media.
Yeah.
Like either they're like really butchy, or they're really like clearly like, oh, they're super sexy and we're out here rolling around and they're just trying to fuck.
That is so true.
I definitely feel like there's definitely some general stereotypes that we see a lot.
It's narrow portrayals.
Yeah.
You watch
Okay.
any specific films, movies, TV
Yeah,
shows?
I watch a lot of Netflix and Hulu, and I watch a lot of different shows. The non-anime that I watch, I guess I don't really like to watch people shows because people are weird.
That's fair.
But,
It's true.
I feel like I do watch like The Office and like other comedies, but when like going off of Marco saying, I feel like I do see like with girls there's that typical stereotype like the short hair, you know, they have to like either be like a badass or like I don't know, there's always that like badass mentality like that is portrayed too. Whereas like you don't always have to be that, like you can be calm, cool and collected, like
Yeah.
also be lesbian.
Yes.
They don't realize how much the strong female character is actually just like a cutout, basically.
And it's not as empowering as like I feel like people like to say it is, because
And
then it's
usually-
like, is it okay to be weak or like
Yeah.
soft? Like, can I be a soft girl and still like other girls, or do I have to be like this manly persona?
Right.
So I watch a lot of Netflix and Hulu, and I like shows like It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia and The Handmaid's Tale and Black Mirror, stuff like that.
Like everyone else said, Netflix, Hulu, just like, you know, whatever like is new. I'm just like, oh, I'll just fucking watch it, I
Check
guess.
it out.
Like I don't really care. Like I feel like lesbians are always like portrayed. It's always like super sexual. It's just like, you know, they just show that like way too much, and it's like it's not all about that. And like for my experiences, it's like not been like super sexual at first. Like it's taken like a while.
Right.
Like it's not just like
Like
you go right into
relationships.
you know, it's like relationships.
Yeah, I also dabble in Netflix. Mostly, I mean, me and Kaylee have been on planet Earth, so I don't know if this really applies, but real people stuff. Shameless is a good one. I was just thinking, I feel like my first like memory of like a lesbian character being like Pretty Little Liars. I don't know if you guys.
Yeah,
Yes.
totally.
It was like Shay Mitchell's
Oh,
character, right?
There was
I don't remember it being like super sexual considering it was Pretty Little Liars, but like I would say she was like the more feminine character. Like I don't know, but that's like my first thought that comes to mind.
I also watch Netflix mostly. Probably like one of my favorite shows is Breaking Bad, and definitely Shameless. And every once in a while, I'll watch some SpongeBob.
Sometimes you just gotta put it on. Amazon Prime.
But on that topic, I think that definitely something that I've noticed is that like lesbian couples in media never really have a happy ending. And like I was talking to Miranda about that. Like they either like die or like get killed off, but like they never have a happy ending, which I don't understand.
This is the trailer for Below Her Mouth.
I'm just gonna move it.
Like, what kind
Sally.
of title is that?
Chin?
Have a positive
I think we know where this one's going.
Exactly the kind of title you would expect.
You come to girl parties often?
I don't come at all.
Can I change that for you?
Just got to the hotel.
I want to get married in the garden at the old mill.
Call the planner in the morning.
You didn't say goodbye last night. I'll be here until dark, and you never have to see me again.
One drink. Take me somewhere.
It's like laughable.
I know.
We're expected to enjoy this.
Did you call the planner about booking the wedding?
I haven't had time. I don't want to think about my life.
I'm memorizing every part of you.
I've never done anything like this before. I need to end this.
Why were you never like that with me?
I want you to stay.
Just the title is just appalling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What'd you guys see? What'd you like? What'd you
Literally,
dislike?
the opening was like this butch woman like nailing. It was just like such a stereotype. Oh my god, are you fucking kidding me? Literally, first scene.
And then it got real sexy. Like,
Yeah.
there was all kinds of like just people
Again, it was
making
just all
out, like
sexual.
having sex.
Yeah.
Like,
Also, it's like it was like a forbidden thing.
Yeah.
She'd be like, you know, clearly I'm a lesbian. Like, this is what I'm here for. Why is it like? Why is it like I'm so
Yeah.
like, you know? It's just like why can't I be like, oh, this is what I would do if I was in a situation and met another woman, and I express these feelings, and you just kind of like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
No point to be like, oh well, I can't. You know, I'm getting married and everything. It seems like it's a little bit much, a little played out.
It's always the butch lady, like, stealing
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
pretty girl away from her husband.
Yeah.
like the butch lady, like she's coming off like manly or whatever, and it doesn't make sense. Like, there's a lot of like lesbian chicks that literally act the same or whatever else. Like,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter.
It like demonizes her a little bit.
It does.
By like putting her in that position. Like, there's a lot
Like
of
a
movies
villain.
where like there's like always cheating involved. Like,
There has to always be some sort of complication that
Yeah.
makes the relationship like either unattainable,
Or forbidden.
impure, or like forbidden. And it's like, you know, there's
Yeah.
awkward stages of dating when you're a lesbian too. You know, it
Yeah.
doesn't just like go. Literally, I think the first thing she said to her, she's like, "I'm not coming." She's like, "Can I change that for you?"
Yeah.
It's like, who would you say that to? The first time you meet somebody, like, who are you saying that to? It's just not even.
Yeah. If you guys didn't know, in order to be a lesbian, you have to be unfaithful.
Yes.
And cheat on someone.
you can't officially
An
be a
unfaithful
lesbian until
predator.
you steal a girl away from her man.
This whole trailer isn't even 2 minutes, but I like went and I watched a whole bunch of times and I counted, and there's over 10 like sexual acts or sexual references in a minute and 49 seconds. And I also wanted to just point out that literally throughout the entire thing there's moaning in the background. It's part of the beat. Like
Part of
where-
the
oh,
beat.
Oh my god.
I would like to say there is nothing wrong with being sexual. Like,
Yeah,
if that's
yeah,
what you're
no.
into, it's just
It's like too hot.
how
women
exactly.
have sex.
It's basically
This
just
is
like softcore
plot,
fetishized porn.
it
at
is,
this point.
Yeah.
A trailer is it gives audiences like a taste of what the plot and what the storyline
Yeah.
is, and this is just all sex.
Yeah. She's wearing that suit.
Yeah.
Full set in the suit. You wear a suit at bottom.
The entire movie, probably more
The
too.
entire
Probably, but yeah, the entire trailer, they're moaning in the background and they bring it into the music. Okay, so it says a cinematic voice to the female orgasm. That's pretty much because there was a whole female production cast, crew members. It was made by pretty much all females, which is like super cool because a lot of times it's just all males. It's like a woman-dominant film, and the males are telling the story pretty much.
Yeah.
So it's cool that it's made by all females, but from my research, none of them are lesbians. And yeah,
They kind of just
took what they thought they knew and rolled with it.
Yeah, it really is just like fantasy fetishized.
Like steamy romance.
Yeah.
It's just like all just like softcore porn for the mothers to enjoy.
It is.
pretty much they just like advertise this. A cinematic voice to the female orgasm. It's like, yeah, it's cool that all females made the film, but it's also just hinting at like even when there's females involved, like they're still like, okay, number one thing is sex. Like it's a cinematic voice to an orgasm. Like
The title is below her mouth.
Yeah. Well, it's also like just because they're women doesn't mean they have a right to speak on it. Like they're straight women.
Right.
Yeah,
They're not
exactly.
lesbian women. It's not the proper representation. It's like saying that like, you know, a bunch of like Asian people made a black film. Or like a voice to the black experience. It's like, what do you know about that? You know, like you may be a person of color, but you're still speaking for a group you do not represent.
It doesn't excuse you from writing stereotypes.
Exactly.
I just want to get your thoughts on like some quotes that I found. So Diego Samarini of Slant Magazine said, "This film is an unquestionably pornographic fantasy, barely trying to pass as something other than masturbation material. Below her mouth's stiff acting and dialogue suggest a misguided blue is the warmest color influence, reduced to the sexy aesthetics of lesbian sex, but completely oblivious to which actually animates the film's impossibly beautiful, unbearably smooth, and perpetually horny bodies." Do we agree with Diego?
I'd agree with Diego.
Diego.
What is that blue the comment though? What does that mean?
What was the worst color?
Yeah,
Who's
it's
the worst color?
Warmest.
Oh.
I actually read like a
I'd be
whole
heartbroken.
Twitter thread about the abuses that the
Me
actresses
too.
in that movie went through this morning.
Yeah.
And
Strapped up in red.
so basically, the director was abusing them the entire time. Like they were like filming for like 10 hours, like sex scenes, like over and over again. Like they had to walk around the set naked.
That's so
like,
weird.
It was just like they were so traumatized. One of them like said that she like contemplated suicide like during the filming of the movie because it was just so miserable.
it's like another lesbian film pretty much.
Yeah, there's
Oh,
like
okay.
It's really highly rated and
So
like
it's just like
really-
a tangent, like, oh, this is like just poorly done in like the exact same way this is poorly done.
the sex
Yeah.
scenes are just painfully long.
Yeah, I think the longest one is close to 10 minutes
Yeah.
for that
10
one.
minutes?
Jesus. It really is just softcore porn. And then
It
the
is.
actresses are being traumatized and
Imagine
abused. So
Exactly.
Like, you in a theater to watch
I'm
that.
assuming by a male director.
I know
Okay.
this.
Where does because all movies have tropes and like you know
Yeah.
it's hard to escape. So at what point is something just like a trope, and when does it become like offensive? Like like in like regular love stories, it's like of course they're gonna be falling out and do the same stuff. And so in a lesbian film, where would you draw the line of like, oh, this is like fine, but this is like pushing the boundary more.
I kind of feel like it's to the point where if the film only has that trope and it doesn't, because I mean in those other love story movies, like there's the awkward dating phase, you first meet, it's cute, it's innocent, it's up and it's down, like you have a full scope of a relationship, where in most lesbian films and TV shows it's just all sexualized or like all one, and then that's the only portrayal. So I think it's just kind of like the quantity and then the overall experience that I would say is sort of how you tell.
So like when it becomes more than just the thing that happens or a thing like a phase, it becomes like, oh, this is an essential part of this character,
Yes.
or essential part of this movie. It's like, okay, this is.
Then it's kind of like because that's
fair to
unrealistic.
say.
What films do we have that like show those things otherwise? Like we don't.
Yeah,
really.
exactly.
Like,
there
we
is
don't
not
have
much.
anything where it's just like a rom-com, you know,
Yeah.
like
Where is the lesbian rom-com that we deserve?
I would like to know.
like to
I
know.
feel like Ellen Page maybe has like a lesbian rom-com. Someone
I could
took
see
out
it
of
in
her
her.
catalog.
She has one in her brain at least. She
Yeah.
is a lesbian rom-com.
We're waiting on it.
This is from One Day at a Time. It's a TV show. It's on Netflix. They're gay.
I just thought this was going to be both of our first times. Well, I wasn't in love then, but I am now. So in a way, this is my first time too. I also wanted you to think that I was awesome at it right out the gate. But mostly, I wanted to make sure this happened on your terms. This is a big deal. It is a big deal. What if I think I'm ready and I'm not really ready? How am I gonna know? Because 5 minutes ago I was all like, yeah, let's do this. And now we're in a random hotel room about to do it? How did I not think about any of this before? Are you okay? You're gonna see me naked. Like, more naked. You think this is white? This has never seen the sun. But then again, virginity is just a construct used to uphold the patriarchy, and I can't even get pregnant, so who cares? Okay, but now that I really think about it, I don't know. I'm scared. What if this changes everything and not in a good way? Elena, there's no rush. We can do it next month, next year. We can never do it if that's what you want. No matter what happens, I love you. I love you too. Let's just watch a movie. There's a Harry Potter marathon on, and I brought every flavor beans in case this happened. Did you hear something fall? No? Okay.
That was
cute.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is like, it's like a comedy.
Show was recently canceled.
Yeah.
Go figure.
Yeah.
Because of lesbians? Or because it was just...
We
no
just
one's
can't
watching?
have young lesbians being non-sexual trying to like figure out who they are. It's just unacceptable apparently.
Did anyone know about it?
Netflix didn't advertise it really, and then they said like no one watched it. It was very well loved and people were like super upset. And then like another studio tried to buy it, but Netflix like blocked them from doing that.
Yeah. And it's also like based on like a Latina family, like is compared to like Modern Family and stuff like that. But yeah, it's like a comedy, which is cool because there's no comedies based on like a lesbian relationship. It's always just like some really like deep, depressive, like let's talk about things. How is this different than the last trailer that you guys watched?
I think it's more realistic.
For sure.
It was way less sexual.
Yeah, they're actually like talking about things. They're not just jumping into some really aggressive sex scene. They're like, hey, wait, let's talk about it before we get it. And like obviously they're getting a sense of like consent and stuff like that, which is really important to portray in film because if we just jump from when, oh, they just meet each other and then boom, the next scene they're just having really hot, like, aggressive stuff.
In high school, so, you know, like we don't get a lot of gay representation for like younger kids, and like that's a time when like we're figuring those things out. I mean, I was like 8, but moving on. And honestly, this is the only show that I can think of that has a character that uses they them pronouns.
Really?
Yep. Very sad, and really, if I think about it too much, I get really pissed. But
Why would you use they them pronouns? Like what is the background of that one?
I think a lot of people use them like because they identify with the non-binary identity, where it's like they kind of just don't feel like any gender. But I know a lot of lesbians that use they them pronouns because they feel alienated from womanhood because it is so attached to the patriarchy and male attention.
Okay.
So I think there are people who use they them pronouns that like identify as women or as men, but it's also for like gender neutral.
Okay.
Yeah, me and Sarah were just talking about this, and I was saying like if we were born into a world, like go back in time, we're just put here, all of the girls would dress up in like skirts and wear makeup, like that's literally like a social construct. But yeah, it's just pretty much just like saying like I don't fit here, I don't fit here, and then finding somewhere else, and it's like expanding like.
Well, gender did not come about until white colonization. Like there still are people in tribes and like they're native people to the Americas. They did not have gender binaries in the way that we do at all because it truly was just a white colonialist idea imposed upon them. Like the idea of gender fluidity and gender neutrality is supremely a white concept. It really isn't something that was emphasized in a lot of Native cultures. My roommate uses they, them pronouns, and it's just sort of like a gender fluidity, as they don't feel like they assign to one or the other. They just live on the spectrum, and like that's what it's used for. Again, a good question.
And in like a lot of Native like cultures, they have like women are actually portrayed to be like the top. I mean, they have a lot of like feminine, like
leaders, idols, stuff like that.
Like I know in Cherokee and like a couple other tribes, the way that they pass their lineage is through women. Like it's not like you take your man, like your husband's like ancestry, you know, because like they always pronounce their names like, and they add like the tribe to it, whichever tribe they join.
Just like last things I wanted to like point out in this one for One Day at a Time, like they both refer to it as like doing it, just not like really like aggressive, like just the over sexualization of like the vulgarity of their language as well. Yeah, I don't know. I just appreciated that.
They're scared, nervous teenagers.
Exactly.
Yeah, like,
it's just like an honest portrayal.
The whole like show is based on like a Latina family, so that's really cool. But I don't know. It's important to point out that there is like a lot of identities who aren't represented in this. Like there's no intersex, transgender, or like disabled people in relationships being involved in this. Just important to point that out. But yeah.
So this is a clip from Vampire Diaries.
Very serious show.
Very
critically acclaimed.
So we'll just start from the beginning and then have some. And this is a lesbian couple on the show. Just so you know.
Nora, where did you go? I'm just tipsy enough to enjoy this music.
Have a taste. She's been sneaking tequila, so she's a little spicy. What the hell?
Oh, don't act so shocked.
Oh, don't pretend that was anything other than petty jealousy.
This trashy girl wouldn't mean a damn thing to you if you weren't so desperate for attention.
Attention? How could I possibly want attention when you've been perched on my shoulder every second for the last 120 years?
Oh, am I ruining your fun?
Stay close, Nora. Slow down, Nora. As if it's still the bloody 19th century and I need your protection. I'm not the one struggling to adapt, Mary Lou. You are!
Very well.
That's kind of it. The rest is just like gabbing.
Is this a loving relationship?
Yes.
Yeah, it's ruled by jealousy.
It seems like one is just really insecure, and she's letting her insecurities like control the other.
Okay, so my point of showing this clip is my trope is the predatory and abusiveness that's often portrayed in lesbian relationships. Is, you know, like you were saying, there's never a happy ending, is there's never a healthy relationship. They're always either super jealous, super controlling, insecure,
ruining the other person's relationship.
Exactly, like just you never, more often than not, I find that in media, there's not just like a healthy portrayal of a lesbian relationship. There's always like some big emotional drama or like fights or crazy shit that happens that just won't let them like be happy. So that's kind of the trope I'm focusing on. I felt like that was a good clip because she literally murders someone out of jealousy.
What do you think are the effects of like that those videos had like on our generation, you know, and on us like growing up? You know, I feel like we live in a pretty like fluid environment, you know, like, or at least like most people, like most people, like I feel like you don't really see those like, oh, I come out of the closet like YouTube videos anymore, you know, like it's like now people, it's like the closet's like open, you know, like the door's wide open and like everyone's kind of just walking through. Us like seeing all this stuff growing up, it kind of did, it was like, well, people just do their thing, you know, like I guess girls can kiss too, that's fine, and like guys can kiss too, and that's cool. Like people can do their thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like I feel like for us, like we grew up just exposed to that. Whereas, you know, you think about some of the older generations, like it was a lot more like socially controlled.
Yeah. They're literally hospitalized when they're told their doctor that they think they're gay.
I definitely feel like we're living in a changing climate. I still don't think it's 100% safe to come out, but I think that especially like our generation and the younger ones, I think are coming to the realization that like it shouldn't be a big deal to come out because there shouldn't be a big deal to be gay or to be lesbian. But on one hand, it's like we are getting some representation, but on the other, all the representation we're getting shows toxicity, it shows death, it shows abusiveness, it shows just these very skewed versions of what a relationship could be when it comes to being in a lesbian one. And I feel like it kind of gives, whether we realize or not, the impression that no gay relationship can be healthy, no gay relationship can last, no gay relationship can have a happy ending. And I think that they kind of like sneak it in there in a way that's like, look, here's your representation, but all we're going to show you is like negative shit. Mm-hmm. So even if you think you'd like to be gay, here are all the consequences. Mm-hmm. So I feel like it's a very double-edged sword. On one hand, there is more exposure, but on the other, like, is negative press really good press?
We're disappointed. Like, I would be so happy that there would finally be like a lesbian couple in a show that I liked, and then like something terrible would happen. It would just like I was 12.
Yeah.
You know, like I wanted them to be happy, and I was just like,
this is my future?
Well, shit. I guess I can never actually be in a relationship with a woman because it's just not realistic.
The film industry just like said, okay, queer community, like here's your exposure to the world, and then we just you said, we have to take what we can get, and we're like, okay, cool, but it's still like always tragic and always like misrepresented.
Yeah.
So
this clip is a little more low key. No one gets their heart ripped out.
I wasn't sure you'd come. It's nice of you to see me. Don't say that.
And I believe there is a considerable age gap between these two women.
Seriously?
Yes, like large.
Oh, how could I hate you? Abby tells me you're thriving. You've no idea how pleased I am for you. And you look very fine, you know? As if you've suddenly blossomed. Is that what comes of getting away from me?
No.
What? Nothing. Harge and I are selling the house. I've taken an apartment on Madison Avenue. And a job, believe it or not. I'm going to work at a furniture house on 4th Avenue as a buyer.
Have you seen Rindy?
Once or twice. She's living with Harge for now. It's the right thing. Anyway, the apartment's a nice big one. It's big enough for two. I was hoping you might like to come live with me, but I guess you won't. Would you?
Oh, I don't think so.
I'm meeting some people at the Oak Room at 9. If you want to have dinner. If you change your mind, I think you'd like them. That's that. I love you.
Therese, is that you?
Okay. How does that clip make you feel? Impressions, thoughts?
I feel like the whole thing was very like predatory. Like even like the "I love you" sounded like, oh, I want you to come with me, or I used to go dinner with me. Like
You're running
like
out of
a window.
ideas.
Yeah, like just like a window to slide in.
Yeah.
But it's like, yeah, I just felt like the whole conversation was told kind of driven by her to what she kind of wanted.
Yeah.
And she didn't get it. You could tell that she tried to kind of shift game plans and stuff, but even that didn't work.
Yeah. Manipulation is strong in this clip.
I don't know the whole story, but from what it sounds like, she's the older woman was with her husband, and then go for someone who's like younger than her, which like is also similar to, I think it was the first clip when they're like, oh, I want to be with someone like I want to change or like not be with someone that's straight.
Yeah. She had actually had an affair before Therese, and then like they kind of just met, and like her husband like hired someone to like get evidence that they were together, and then she got her daughter taken away from her. Love it. Yeah.
Like one thing that was like interesting is that in all of these clips so far, it just seems like they always are living a lie. Like for some point of their life, like they're just living a lie, and then they have to like finally choose to be honest with themselves or something, and then that's wrong. Like, or at least they should feel wrong about that because like it's not the right thing to do. Like I don't know, it seems weird how like that chick, she's like lesbian obviously, but then like when the dude called like, oh, is that you, like clearly like her whole energy shifted to where it was like, you know, like,
well, it's like you can be lesbian, but there's always going to be a price.
Right.
That's what they try to tell you is like, you know, you could, but like it'll cost you everything. Have fun.
yeah, like you're gonna lose your kid.
Yeah. You guys did catch on, a big point of this clip was to kind of show like the predatory manipulative aspect that's also often portrayed in lesbian film. Like you can clearly see how uncomfortable Therese looks. Like she looks so fucking unhappy, and then this woman's like, move in with me, come to dinner with me, I love you, and it's like clearly she's uncomfortable. The portrayal is the trope, and the trope is predatory. It is manipulative. It's
taking advantage of her.
Exactly, her youth, her innocence, or whatever. Big quotes, they can't see me, but like
corrupting
quotes.
her.
Exactly.
Yeah.
How like taking advantage of their curiosity.
Like exploitation.
And then they have to show the old versus with the young, so that way it's like, oh, this old person, like I already know, you know, but you don't know yet, but I can show you, like, very cougar-y. Yeah.
Yes. It's like it can't just be like healthy and natural. It has to be like preying on the younger, weaker quotes, weaker one, because they're available and they don't know. And it's like it implies that lesbian women are dangerous or manipulative or abusive, and it's like that's just not true. Fuck that stereotype.
Yeah. I think in the beginning of the movie, Therese was also engaged.
Oh, yeah. Great.
Yeah. Obviously, mine is a little bit more obvious. Sorry, this is a 3-hour and 50-minute video, and I have specific like
stick around.
I have like specific timestamps for when I want to show people. So, this is from a show called The 100.
It's on Netflix, so you should check it out.
True. I want to like be able to get context for the scene because this show is really hard to understand out of context. So this is just like a video of all the scenes that these two girls have together. So it's just gonna like move into the next scene after this one.
I'm sorry. Don't be. You have to go back. They're your people. That's why you're you. Maybe someday you and I will owe nothing more to our people. I hope so. May we meet again. Octavia and I are gonna get behind the blockade by dawn. This is beautiful. I got it on my ascension day. A circle for every night player that died. And the commander chose me. 7 circles. I thought you said there were 9 novitiates at your conclave. There were. What happened to number 8? Can we talk about something else? We don't have to talk at all. Murphy?
He's alive.
What did you do to my friend?
A friend was caught stealing from people on their way to the Polis market.
You're okay.
Please don't do that.
Titus, what is this about?
I'm sorry it had to come to this, Clark. Truly I am.
I'm leaving. Right now. Octavia's waiting for me. Just let me take Murphy and we'll go.
Wish I could. Lexa would never execute her duty.
Hey,
Let us...
Titus, think. She's gonna know it was you.
She'll think it was him. Sky Crew weapon. In the hands of a Sky Crew thief. She might even be angry enough to declare war!
Oh, oh.
So we know what happens from there. She dies. Thoughts? I can explain it first if you want me to,
That's good.
but it's a long explanation.
I don't know. Let's say this before I forget.
Yeah.
It once again like had a lot of the same things we talked about. You know, a strong female, like 2 strong females. You know, the forbidden, like this can't happen. We gotta be separated and all that. And then, you know, the sad ending too. You know, she got, you know, murderized. But other than that though, so I feel like it's pretty much been the same. Like a lot of the same tropes we've been speaking about this whole time. It's kind of especially condensed.
The interplay.
But it had like a gloss of like, oh, this is something that's like softer and better than the usual stereotype, but it had all those same issues.
There's actually a whole specific trope that has full studies done on it called the bury your gays trope. More specifically, the dead lesbian syndrome trope. And also, the scene where she dies is in the same episode as when they first have sex. So, generally, after they, like, consummate their relationship, one of them dies shortly after. Like, within the same episode, or at least within the season.
In Pretty Little Liars, Emily, the person she was with, gets... Maya gets killed.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
Murdered for shock value.
Literally in, like, the next episode, or the same one. Really quickly. And it's kind of like a catch-all, like how you were saying, that their relationship was portrayed very nicely for the most part. So it's like, well, here's like a cool relationship, but we're gonna kill one of them off anyway. So it's like, even if it is like a decent portrayal, there's still like that catch.
But even then, they're gonna be split up anyways, like alongside that as well.
Eventually,
so. It's like, oh, doubling down.
Exactly. It really is just like a big old lesbians can never be happy message, and that's not true, but like, media loves it.
And like, a lot of really terrible shit happens to Emily. Like, because of being gay. She was like in love with Allison the whole time, right? And like Allison was like always dragging her along and like always like playing with her feelings. And then actually, a few seasons later, after Emily's girlfriend is killed, she gets into a relationship with a girl who was bullying her before. So the homophobe turned out to be gay the whole time. And she was a terrible person. So she gets into an abusive relationship later on.
It's like, it's just like a check mark at this point. It's like, check all the boxes, it's bingo. It's how can we fuck over lesbians bingo.
I found an article, and it is all 204 bisexual or lesbian characters who were killed between 1976 and now on TV. Out of 204, 30 of them were killed by a man, usually a jealous husband or a jealous boyfriend, jealous ex, etc. 25 of them were black, 16 of them committed suicide, 4 were a stray bullet, like with Lexa, 1 was Latina, 8 were Asian, and 5 were ethnically ambiguous. And I have this other study talking about like representation overall of people of color. This is for the 2016-2017 TV season. So from a 15% representation of black characters in 2005, in the 2016-2017 we only went up to 20%. And that's all black characters. So the few of them that we have that are lesbians, and 30 out of 30 of them die. I read several that were like tortured before they were killed. Maya, we never even figure out like why she's killed. I'm pretty sure like
it was random. It was definitely like, wasn't it like some like home invasion bullshit?
Yeah.
Like it was that random, or was it A? I don't remember, but it was some bullshit. It was some straight bullshit, like totally unnecessary. All of a sudden they have cancer, or like somebody broke into their home and they got murdered. It's like really, really random, unnecessary deaths just to like shock value or to like push along the plot of a straight character.
You already see a lot where it's like, you know, it's like the stereotype that like the people of color are killed off first.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you know, combined with like having an LGBT character is just like really trash. Just in the 2017-2018 TV season, 62 lesbian or bisexual characters were killed who were women on TV shows. This is like main networks like CW, Fox, etc.
No, like thinking on like giving you some product representation. I've never seen like an Asian like lesbian on a TV show. I guess like not like popping out like if we're popping on race or whatever. Like I mean, you don't really see many black like lesbians on TV, or like dark Hispanics or like Asian people. I guess.
Yeah,
like, it's
if they
always
are
like
super butch and super like
yeah.
demand. Like,
Yeah, it's like they're like, oh, you
and
know,
then it's just like the pretty white girl who's like, hi, I'm gay.
Oh, you're Orange is the New Black with Sosa. Sosa is her name?
So, yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's another example we have. Finally, an interracial couple where one of them isn't white.
Yeah.
And 6 episodes after they get together, the black one is killed by a man, a prison guard.
Yeah.
Strangled to death. Love it.
Yeah.
A lot of these like producers try to pass this off as like, well, like anyone can die in this show. I don't know, that just seems super cheesy and off to me.
Yeah.
Like, she's a commander. I felt like if she had to die, it would have been in a better way.
It wasn't like the two races are like Earth people and like space people.
Yeah.
So there's
and the mountain people.
Oh.
And even Lexa is kind of like coded as like other.
Really?
Like, you know, like different from everyone else.
Yeah.
Like the non-white version of everything in that show. Which, something I've noticed is they always have the people of color, the people from space, being like upset about like the grounders. Because they can't have like, oh, it's like the white people against like the native people. Because why would we want to talk about that?
Do you think they're just trying to like portray like that you should be afraid, you know, like I don't know, give off this fear vibe, you know, like hey, you know, if you're like that, like you should be afraid, you know.
This is your future is death, despair, and heartbreak. Definitely, that's a good insight. I really do believe that that's a lot of what these tropes are like implicitly implying.
But you have hot sex along the way, so it's all okay.
So it's all fun. I truly feel like lesbian films like that are just like for men.
Yeah.
It's, you know, like the
usually written by men.
Yeah. It's just softcore porn, truly.
I feel like for all of the clips, it was just like what sells, like more drama, more violence, more sex, like despite how it makes like lesbian relationships look, like how damaging that is. It's like what does the audience want to see? And like lesbian relationships are kind of like exotic and like exciting, so like people want to see it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there like for men though? Because like if I saw that, none of my friends would be like, yeah, we gotta go see that shit. Like that's what we gotta be on right now. It's like mothers, I feel like, and like you know, like your girlfriend might want to go see that or something. But is it really for? Because it's like, yeah, there's a bunch of sex, but it's also like you gotta. No one's gonna watch that. Like, would you watch that, Jacob?
I mean, I wouldn't, but I'm like, there's different kinds of guys.
Do you think Cam would watch that?
You know, like, I mean, I know Cam wouldn't, but like, I feel like I definitely know some guys like that I've met on Xbox that like,
I don't know,
you know, hey, you know, like you'll hop on and you're like, people are just like aren't
just like online internet porn.
Yeah, you could do that, or you could be like, you know what?
I'm gonna go sit in a movie theater.
I'm gonna go jerk off in a movie theater. It's dark. No one's watching. Like, no one else is around me. Like,
so you're saying.
Or you get the movie and like take it home because it will come out on DVD eventually. You're like, film it or something. Like
You're telling me you go through all these steps to watch some like softcore porn, and you just like.
Some guys might.
People don't have internet, man. Some people don't have internet connection. But like, sex does sell though. Like, as much as like people, like you just realize that like. A lot of dudes don't like you'll think with your head and then you'll think with your like instincts. You know, and it's,
well, I mean, if you think about it, like, do you think that men would men who are like down for that kind of thing? Do you think they would enjoy more of like a lesbian rom-com or like a lesbian sex scene?
Probably like a lesbian sex scene.
Exactly. So it's like that's why when the representation is there,
I
it's just
agree with what I'm saying. Like the largest demographic to see that, I doubt, is like males. I bet it's women, you know.
But
I feel like women also have like a weird thing for like lesbians that's like, oh yeah, like I could be with a woman, you know what I mean? Because it's like
there definitely is like a straight girl problem where it's like there's catfish.
Yeah, because it's like I feel like I hear that a lot is like a lot of not to like be like generalize like bi girls at all. I'm not trying to like do that, but like a lot of girls will say they're bi and then they're just not bi. They're just straight.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
No, definitely.
And so
I've been strung along.
Yes, and they're like, oh, I'm straight. You didn't know that? It's like you're literally on gay side of Tinder. Like, what do you mean? It's so I see where you're coming from, but I feel like it's sort of a mix.
Yeah.
Because if I were to go and see that like Below Her Mouth movie, I would feel like uncomfortable the entire time because I'd be like, this isn't a true representation. So I feel like it's marketed as a ploy to take in women, but the people who will actually enjoy watching it would be more of a male audience.
So it's like a Trojan horse. It's like
exactly.
you get your girlfriends to take you to see the movie, and it's like, oh, now you're both of them, and this dude's popping off some softcore.
Exactly.
Okay, so I get you.
It's written through the lens of male fantasy.
Yeah, that was a good dialogue. That was good. Because understanding is important, and like there are definitely levels to it, and I think it is kind of like a Trojan horse thing, is they like to present, like, look at your representation, look at what we can give you. So they take in, you know, the lesbian women who are excited for that, but then once you get into it, it's just like a lot of really weird subliminal messages and like intentions that I don't think are very kind.
Do you think like lesbians, if they saw the Below Their Mouth, because you said you wouldn't see it, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it would make me uncomfortable.
Do you think that a lot of like lesbians would see it regardless of that? Because if that's like the initial impact it had on you, and so do you think it's just like these movies just aren't even made with the thought of like a gay audience in mind? Because it's like if you were that repulsed just spot on scene, then I'm assuming it's probably gonna be a general theme, like a general trend among lesbians. You know what I mean?
Honestly,
if it's that blatant, you know what I mean?
Because I do want to emphasize there is nothing wrong with being sexual.
Yeah,
it's just
I
that much of it throughout the entire movie is what would make me uncomfortable.
It's like how 50 Shades of Grey is just mom porn.
Exactly. So I do think that like as a general, I don't think that a lot of lesbian women are going to want to go spend their money to see a movie that's supposedly portraying them, but really is just a lot of sex. Because sex inherently, if that's what you want to do, is like totally fine. But when we're claiming to be represented and then portrayed as just like sex objects, this isn't an accurate portrayal of what it really
experience.
Exactly. It's just softcore porn.
And also like younger girls questioning their sexuality.
Yeah.
Like all of that's like that's who I have in mind when I watch all this shit. Because I remember how devastated I was when Maya was killed on Pretty Little Liars.
They're so impressionable, and like if you're saying like this is what your relationship will be like, this is what is available to you, this is how it is, like that's just gonna scare people, because like who wants, as growing up trying to find themselves, to be shown like your future is death.
Yeah, because
What
the
the fuck?
media's job, according to the world, is to tell us how we're supposed to be and how
Yes.
things are supposed to be. So, like, yeah, just portraying just all the tragedies and all the, like, the downsides of
Only.
being a lesbian. Yeah, strictly. But yeah.
And you said that movie that like repulsed you, it was made entirely by women, and that's why like
Straight women, but women.
Yeah, you know,
Yeah.
it was like straight women. Do you think like they were just trying to like you said, they're soft porn, but just live out their fantasies? I mean, like if they didn't have the like the influence of like an actual like
Lesbian person.
lesbian woman or gay woman or whatever, then they probably just don't know. So they're literally just like, well, I know that I like go home to like my husband or whatever, but I've always thought about like what it would be like just what if, you know, so that's like a whole movie on what ifs, like it's literally operating and like there's no like actual, you know, lesbian input, you know, because they're literally just guessing, you know.
It's straight women outside their lane.
Yes,
It's like a
truly.
big lesbian fanfic.
That's a really good analysis. That's because yes, I agree with you 100%. I feel like truly it is just like a bunch of straight women got together, like, yo, like we're with our husbands and we're definitely not gay, but like, what have we always imagined? Like, what doesn't our husband do that we wish we could experience? So let's just make 2 lesbian women and like make them have sex all the time because my husband gives terrible head. Like, I truly feel like it's shit like that because you're not representing, like, you might be a woman, but like you are not the group you're trying to represent. I think I said it in like a smaller discussion, but it would be like a Mexican person trying to make a movie on the black experience. It's like, yes, you're a person of color, but like you don't speak for the community. No, you don't know what the black experience is like. So for you to make a movie and try to pretend that you do, you're going to be off on a lot of shit because there's stuff you just don't get, that you don't experience.
And there's a lot of anti-blackness in the Latinx community.
Exactly.
Just like there's a lot of homophobia amongst straight women.
So that was good.
Yeah.
That was good. That was good.
My brain feels very stimulated. Thank you.
Does anyone else have any ending? I don't want to cut anyone off. Right. Well, thank you very much.
Yeah.
This was very nice. I hope.